Coming to you from 8122 Production Studios in the heart of the 607, this is Horror Zone 607. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, you can always join the conversation using hashtag HZ607. To Horror Zone 607. I'm your host, Mike C., and we have got yet another great show for you this week. Before we get into everything that we've got to talk about this week, you know that I've got a couple of great co-hosts that are with me every week. I'd like to introduce them first. So first of all, he would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for us snooping kids. Everybody, please say hello to Rich.
That's right, man. Damn those Mystery Inc. And their new movie, too.
Damn it.
Although, I'm interested in that movie.
No, I'm interested. I'm just upset with Matthew Lillard getting...
Yeah, he got canned, but we're still getting Captain Caveman and Snidely Whiplash. So, I mean, hey.
Hey. And Blue Falcon and...
Yes.
Dynamite.
Good stuff. That was really on topic. I don't know if you knew this or not, but when we did the Three Fat Nerds podcast, there's a new animated Scooby-Doo movie coming out this upcoming year called Scoob, and it's got Mark Wahlberg in it as Blue Falcon. It's got quite the cast in it.
Really?
And there's Captain Caveman and Snidely Whiplash are in it. Yeah, it's going to be like Hanna-Barbera All-Stars pretty much.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome. So
I think it's about time.
So yours was perfectly on cue to that. That's why I was like, I can't
And we
wait
didn't
to
even
see that
talk
movie.
about this ahead of time. I thought of this last night.
I know.
I was just like, you know what?
It's pretty awesome.
I need a Scooby-Doo beginning here. A Scooby-Doo ending.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo
right in the beginning.
Scooby-Doo. But yes, it was. So there it is. So you guys check that out. It'll be coming out in, I think, 2020, early 2020, I think it was.
Yeah,
Scoob. It's called Scoob.
Nice.
And yeah, it's animated, but it looks phenomenal.
Well,
it's got
placed.
one hell of a cast.
Well placed here. I'm going to pat myself on the back right now.
Yes, go ahead. Good job.
You hear that? All right, and you also hear him in the background here. He's our other co-host. He's your friend and mine, and he is the owner of 8122 Production Studios. Everybody, welcome back, Ron.
What's happening?
All right, so what'd you guys do this past weekend?
I went up to the Darien Lake on a rainy, cold day. I was out of town in Buffalo, New York, pretty much, for the family for Mother's Day, and yeah, I mean, it still had a good time, but it was rainy and cold.
Nice. Sounds lovely.
I prefer to have been doing what you were doing on Friday.
Yeah, so...
Or Saturday, sorry.
Saturday night, yeah, so, and I almost forgot about it, even though we were talking about it on the show last week, because that's how absent-minded I am on the weekends. But, at right here in Binghamton, there's a brewery here called Galaxy Brewery, and they had a band called First Jason, which is fronted by Ari Lehman, who was the original Jason in the original Friday the 13th.
He was the first Jason.
He was the first Jason.
Get it?
Very, very original. So got to see his band play along with a couple of other bands. I'll talk about that in a second. But met him. Great guy. Real nice guy. And he also had a girl that was an actress that was in a movie that's going to be coming out that he's in. Her name is Alyssa Leonard. And so I got to hang out with the two of them. I really hung out with her.
There you go.
That was a good time. But yeah, Ari, great guy. Our friend Jimmy Gazdick was there, as he always is. He had a friend of his there that was doing a Jason cosplay. This guy was 6'6", 6'7", looked exactly like Jason Voorhees. I mean, this guy, he could have been Jason in a Friday the 13th movie. So I got my picture taken with him, hung out with those guys. Jimmy introduces me to Ari, shakes my hand, says it's nice to meet me, and the first thing out of Jimmy's mouth was, my friend Mike here, he does a horror podcast. First thing out of Ari Lehman's mouth, I'm doing it. I'm in. I'll do it. So we may be having Ari Lehman on the show coming up here in the near future.
That'd be pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and Alyssa Leonard, which again is his co-star's name, she's actually from the Syracuse area, so she doesn't live too far from here, and she was all about doing this. She actually asked me if she could be on the show. So it's not going to be a phone interview. It's not going to be anything we have to do from a distance. She's coming here to Binghamton specifically to be on our show in a couple of weeks.
Sweet. That sounds like fun to me.
So yeah, it'll be probably the first week or second week of June that we have her down here, depending on what her schedule is. But great girl, a lot of fun, really good looking girl. And she's going to be the star and producer of a horror movie coming out. It's going to be available at Walmart and a couple of other places. It's going to be called Clown Motel. So we'll be having Alyssa on the show coming up here soon.
Another movie we need to get Derek to watch for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a couple other bands that were there. There was the band that was on before Ari's band was actually called the Jasons. 4 guys up there in full Jason costume. They had Jason masks on. They played their instruments in Jason masks. They sang through the Jason masks. They were a lot of fun, and I actually got a chance to talk to the lead singer and asked him, if he'd be interested in letting us use some of his music for the show, and he was all about it. So we're hoping to have some of their music coming up here in a couple of weeks. Different commercial breaks that we have. Although we don't really have commercial breaks, it's more just a break.
Yeah, but still, that's kind of what it would be if we had commercials. But,
sure,
sometimes it's nice to have just a little musical break, just break up the monotony of us talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who wants to listen to us talking?
If you want, I can chill during those times.
I want to hear you sing during the commercial breaks.
Oh, jeez.
This guy sings like an angel.
Yeah, like
touched by an angel.
Yes, pretty much. There you go. Thank you, Ron.
All right, so let's jump into the news. Probably the biggest story that we have.
Of course, you're talking about Clownado. The trailer for Clownado's out.
Yes,
the biggest story in horror news this week.
It's
amazing.
No,
yeah,
it's the perfect mix between Killer Clowns in Outer Space and Sharknado.
I don't think
how could this movie not be amazing?
How could it not be?
Well, I don't think that's the news.
That's not the
that
biggest
wasn't
news
the
of
one.
week? That's not it.
Are you
sure?
Yeah.
Although,
Ron's
I'm pretty
right.
sure that wasn't the news.
Although I do feel like that's a movie that we need to have Derek review as well.
Well, that's fine. But
A, he doesn't like horror movies. B, he's scared of clowns. So I feel like that's the perfect nightmare.
is he scared of tornadoes?
He might be. We have to find that out.
That's fine.
I have a feeling that he is.
I think
he's a little skittish.
He's scared of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But no, that's not the biggest news.
No. There was a different clown movie that had a trailer that hit this past weekend,
yes.
and that would be It Chapter 2.
That's right. That is the biggest news. That is a movie he's willing to go to, by the way.
Really?
Although he's getting scared after he sees that trailer.
Has he seen the first one?
Yes. He
Wow.
went to the theater and karate chopped the whole time. That's why he was in the theater. Yes.
Did he wet his pants?
Just a little bit. Well, he was in the studio watching the trailer for this, and he almost wet his pants
All
in this
right.
trailer.
All right.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What'd you guys think of the trailer?
Creepy as you know what.
Yeah.
Try not to
as the
swear
kids
as
would
much.
say, AF.
As the kids would say, AF. Yes, it is creepy. I like the fact that they opened up with a kind of like a creepy scene instead of like giving away like just a giant montage in the beginning.
I like that. I kind of wish they hadn't. I would have rather have had that saved.
Yeah, but you know what? There's still a lot.
There's gonna be a lot in it.
But that scene alone, there's still a lot that you could add to it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't give it away enough. You still don't. You don't know if it's the old lady running at her, if it's her naked dad running at her, if it's Pennywise running. So like there's still like a very big question mark there. So I mean, I feel like they didn't give too much away, but it did give you that eerie, creepy feeling right away. Also,
gave me chills.
Oh yeah, and then when they did go into the montage for the last 40 seconds of it, it gave me the look that I wanted. Actually, believe it or not, with the movie has taken a beating from some people that have had like early, seen early clips and stuff of it. There was rumors and innuendo out there that the movie wasn't going to be as good as people think. And to see this trailer, I'm like, I think they might be wrong. Now, mind you, we've talked about it before. There has been awesome trailers and bad movies, but I don't know. I feel like this movie hit the tone that I'm looking forward to hit.
It looks like it belongs with the first one. I mean, I didn't see anything there that made it look any, like it didn't fit or anything like that. I think it's going to be an awesome movie.
Yeah. Ron, what did you think about
it?
No,
I liked it. I actually like the scene when they're looking, when the reflections in the
that
mirror
was awesome.
or in the window of the whatever storefront, and it's actually them as kids.
Yeah.
I always like that kind of thing, and that just,
so do I.
And that just connected. I'm like, you know what? Okay, we're good.
Right.
I'm all about it. We'll watch it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. So, coming up in September, everybody.
September can't get here soon enough for
I
that.
know.
But I'm glad that they unleashed a trailer on us, and I like how they did it, how they announced it last week. We talked about it on Times Square. We talked about it last week's show. Unfortunately, it came out after our show was recorded and after it was released even. And I got it up there. I was on at work at noon looking at it, waiting for them to post it. As soon as they did, I posted it to our pages, which that's kind of funny. I literally was. I kept refreshing, and then once it hit, I was like, phew, phew, phew. like just being quick on, just
Up
send
to
it
the
out.
minute news on Horror Zone 607.
Send it out, man, because they at least let us know it was going to be at noon.
Yeah.
So that was perfect.
Yeah, it was nice. So Bill Murray, there's some news, a little bit of news, a little snippet of news. He was quoted as saying that he would definitely love to be a part of the new Ghostbusters film. There hasn't been any casting news of the Ghostbusters themselves up to this point, just that Finn Wolfhard, speaking of it, Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things and It Chapter 1 is going to be in it, along with a couple of other people. But there hasn't been any of the Ghostbusters cast. But Bill Murray, who's been the pain in the neck about getting a third one off the ground all these years, he was the first one to say he wants to be a part of it.
I was going to say, I feel like we all just assume that they're all going to be back.
Yeah. I find it a little odd. I mean, it's going to be starting shooting here pretty soon. The filming starts, I believe, in June.
Yeah, but how much of this is just let's keep it under wraps?
Maybe.
Yeah.
You just little snippets here and there. In this day and age, I think everybody's starting to take the Marvel playbook. Marvel got away with doing everything under wraps, and actually Disney in total, because Star Wars too, kind of keeping everything closed, keeping everything tight knit. And I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's successful," because then people want to see it. Right. And something big like a gigantic IP like Ghostbusters, probably like one of the only IPs that Disney doesn't own, is they would be smart to take that from there and go, hey, we're just anticipating everybody's back, and we're probably anticipating maybe some new Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters in training, something like that. But I feel like you'll definitely Ernie Hudson has said forever that he's in.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think you have to have a new quote from him. Ernie Hudson's been talking about being in before there was any movie around.
Right.
That movie made him. Like it or not. Like, you hate to say it, that movie made him.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is Dan Aykroyd's baby in a way.
Yeah.
And I know that he was attached to the script somehow as well.
Yeah, there's no way he won't be in it.
He'll be there. And I think it's just the fact with Bill Murray that it's just like time. He's realizing everybody's getting old.
I think he was the one that was the wild card. I think that he was the one that we were all like, wow, is he going to be in it? And then there was also, the alleged leaked pictures from the set of Zombieland 2. Where Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray are seen in pictures together on set. Right. Which is, they were both rumored to be in the movie, and then there was pictures, and once again, you never know. They were leaked. It could be whatever, but hey, at least they were there talking, and that gave everybody hope. Like, yep, all right, this is going to happen. And like I said, I do know that Aykroyd was attached to the script. Because I do believe he's one of the screenwriters with Jason Reitman. So I'd be surprised if he's going to write the script and not be in the movie.
Right.
Like, that would be a total shock. He might not be a main character. Maybe they'll all fall back and they're training a new generation and we're looking at something different. But I don't think that you're going to see, you're definitely going to see Dan Aykroyd back full force as Ray Stantz. Yeah. And Ernie, like I said, Ernie Hudson's been all about for years. He's been talking about this for 20 plus years, that he's like, anytime they call, who are you going to call? Ernie Hudson. He's coming in. Ghostbusters is his thing. So I'm sure that, out of the surviving members, the only one that was a real wild card in my mind was Bill Murray. Yeah. And if he's like, hey, if they ask me, then I'm doing it. Right. I feel like it's not going to take long for that to be put together. And how much of that might just be them saying, hey, go out in public and say something just so.
Right. Well, he did say in the article, or the I don't know if it was a tweet. I didn't get a chance to really see what it was published in or anything like that. It was on bloodydisgusting.com. But he did mention how much fun he had making the remake and popping up in that. So I think that kind of got his, got the juices flowing for him, and he's all about doing another one. So
will this pull Rick Moranis out of retirement?
That's, I have a feeling that everybody else is going to be involved. Annie Potts, Sigourney Weaver, everybody except for Rick Moranis.
Well, here's the thing. You never know.
You never know.
When everybody starts coming back, it's like, all right, cameo, maybe. Fine, to hell with it. Sometimes that's all it takes. Like, all right, we're getting the band back together. We're pulling a real Blues Brothers moment.
Yeah.
But
Well, he only left the industry to go take care of his wife and stuff, and just kind of fell off of it and never wanted to come back. Right. But, I know he's talked about. There's always been talk that he's like, yeah, maybe someday.
But like I said, when you have that moment where the band's coming back together, those are usually the moments that people are like, at least for a cameo, to hell with it. Just because, hey, this is something that basically, this is the reason why all of them had a monster career. Yeah. Like, this is the little engine that could for all of them. I mean, before that, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis had been in movies before together even, and they were successful, but like, this was a mega successful cult classic movie. in like in all stands. You know, of course, Dan Aykroyd coming from SNL and doing other things.
Bill Murray
once
too.
again, but I'm just saying. But by this time, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis had already started doing movies. Like Stripes had already been out, and so they were already
Caddyshack.
they were already movie stars, if you will. Aykroyd hadn't made it really. I mean, he had been on the big screen, but nothing like major. He wasn't.
Blues Brothers was pretty big.
Yeah, but he was. It was. But that was more
pretty
of a John.
A cult
think
film
about it.
too,
It's more of a John Belushi film, though.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about the Blues Brothers, most people remember Belushi.
Yeah. And then that was more a cult. Afterwards.
Yeah, it is
like
more
it did a thing in the theaters, but because back then it just took so long to come. But once it hit,
right,
any kind of seeing it again on video or whatever, that just went out.
Yeah, I don't think it was. We could do the numbers, but I would be safe. It'd be safe to say that Ghostbusters blew it away as far as numbers in the theaters.
Oh yeah,
and not saying anything against Blues Brothers. I love it. I'm just saying that also in being a John Belushi vehicle, that Dan Aykroyd was just the tag along partner in to being like basically his own baby with him and Harold Ramis. And once again, John Belushi was supposed to be in Ghostbusters. That's a little known fact for some people out there. But yeah, the role that Bill Murray plays was written for John Belushi. But of course, John Belushi died before the production of that movie. But that role was written for him by Dan Aykroyd. So how different would Ghostbusters be if John Belushi was Peter Venkman?
Right.
So, I don't know. I honestly, I think I prefer the world where Bill Murray was Peter Venkman.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because that's what we got to see. Because I don't know if Belushi brings the same, thing to the table that Bill Murray does.
Yeah.
Because at least with Bill Murray, you can believe, the way the character was written. I don't know if that's a Belushi character. Belushi played more of a goofy character. Not saying there's anything wrong because he's one of the greatest comedians of all time, or comedic actors, I should say, of all time. But yeah, I don't like thinking of a world without Bill Murray as Peter Venkman.
Yeah, I can't picture it. He just played it too perfectly.
Yeah,
so
exactly. But like I said, it's kind of a fun fact when you learn that role was actually written for John Belushi.
Right. Now, I know we've talked this movie to death, but there's another superhero / horror movie coming out called BrightBurn.
Very soon, actually. Next weekend.
Yeah.
Not this upcoming weekend, the weekend after. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, I want to just clarify that.
And there was a new Red Band trailer that came out. And I know you saw it.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
It was a Red Band scene trailer. So basically, there was very little... it was a full scene from the movie, pretty much. And then on the end, there was like a little flip through that wasn't very long, like 10 seconds. But yeah, it's probably one of the most disturbing things I've seen. That's why it was a Red Band. So basically, the scene that we've seen before in the coffee shop or the diner, if you will, where he's inside of the cooler that's been in all of them pretty much. So they extended that scene out where she's counting money and then she's messy. She's being messed with by the character, and then finally the lights are going on, and the part that gets you is one of the light tubes smashes. And she's looking up, and when you go down, she drops to her knees, and you realize that there's a piece of glass in her eye. And most movies, they show you try to pull for it, but they pull away. No. In this movie, she grabs a hold of it. It follows it the whole time as it's being pulled out of her eye. And right at the end, when it pulls out, there's a little of blood that just splurts out onto the floor. Yeah. And then they do the rest of the camera shot in that scene is done where it looks like what her vision would be, so like partially bloody and blurry. And then she covers her one eye right before the scene where he presumably flies into the thing. It was squeamish. I'm not a big fan of eye stuff, and for those people who were thinking, "Oh, this is just a darker superhero movie," oh no, I think they proved it's a horror movie because I don't know what's more horror than like glass in the eye being pulled out and it was disturbing and squeamish. So I think that's why they put it out to the world, is because they wanted to show that hey, it is a dark superhero movie, but it is still very much like a horror movie. This isn't one of those like, oh, it's a light, like there's a tinge of horror in it. I think it's straight on horror.
I don't remember what movie I saw that had the trailer for this in the beginning, and there was a guy with his, I think, girlfriend and maybe even a kid or two or something on the side. He goes, "Man, that just looks like a Superman movie." And I just started laughing like, "Well, you're not wrong."
That's the point. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be Superman, only very dark. Yeah. And I think it's covering that base. I, for one, have been wanting to see this movie since we've heard about it, and so my wait is almost over. I'm super excited. I actually posted something on our Twitter page about it and got a response from somebody who had seen it. as a screener and told me that get ready, it's as good as you think it is.
Nice.
So that was kind of cool. So visit I can't remember if it was the Three Fat Nerds podcast one or if it was the Horror Zone 607. It was one of those two. Sorry guys, I get mixed up because I'm posting on so many different things. But yeah, one of them got a comment from somebody who watched the screener and said that it's amazing and that I should be excited to see it. So
That's awesome.
I'm excited now even more because I wanted to see this movie. I've been excited to see it. I thought it could strike out, and then I have somebody actually being like, "Hey, listen, it's good."
Yeah, this is going to have to be one of those movies where I don't go at 10 o'clock in the morning to watch it by myself like a loser. I think I'm going to have to go with you guys to see this one.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going, man.
I'm hoping to hold your hands and sit on your laps and
sing Kumbaya.
Sing Kumbaya while we watch the movie. And
comes out the same weekend as Aladdin.
The double feature.
Double feature with
We'll
Aladdin.
talk about them both here on HZ607.
A whole new world.
Yeah.
New world.
See, Ron's going to sing for you.
Dare close your eyes.
That is beautiful.
That was
I thought that
beautiful.
Rich sang like an
That was
angel.
a great
Got the
rendition.
wrong guy I want to sing in between our breaks here.
But with that, if you have anything, speaking of our social medias, if you have anything you want to add or comment on anything we talk about, you can do that by go ahead, do that on our Facebook page, Horror Zone 607. Just search that in. If you don't already, like and share that page to help us out. Also, we're on Twitter and Instagram at Horror Zone 607. For all social medias, when you're trying to join our conversations, it's simple. Just use hashtag HZ607.
All right, thanks, Rich. I appreciate that. We're going to take a quick break because that's all the news I've got, but we're going to be coming back with Rich, who's got some more stories and some news to talk about himself.
Welcome back to the zone, and we got some more horror news this week. First up, there's a little, I would say it's an indie film because it's not really catching much, I don't think it's getting a wide release. It's definitely going to be available on Blu-ray and DVD and maybe even a streaming site. It says DVD and digital on July 23rd. Lionsgate's putting this movie out. It's called Rock, Paper, Scissors. And that doesn't sound scary in its own. But then I'm going to tell you it was written by Carrie Fleming and the man who created Friday the 13th, Victor Miller.
Nice.
And it's being directed by Tom Holland, who is most famously Fright Night and Child's Play director. So it's got a pretty good pedigree. The trailer just came out this week. It looks, it's basically a kidnapping of young women and painting their faces almost like, I wouldn't say a clown look, but it's like the doll. Yeah, like a doll.
It's like
look.
a porcelain doll.
Yeah. And you see the scene. He's got one, tied. She's locked down on this table, and he says, "We're gonna play rock paper scissors." And they both throw rock, and he changes the paper goes, "You lose," and he's about to bash her arm in when the cops stop him. That's how the trailer opens, and then it takes you through. Is he reformed? No, he's not. And it goes in, so it could happen. It's one of those things where it could happen. They're locked in his basement. It always makes it creepy. It's got a decent cast in it as well. Luke McFarlane is in it. Michael Madsen is also in it, and of course, Oscar winner Tatum O'Neal is also in this movie.
Ooh,
it looks pretty impressive. It looks really creepy when you look at the cover of the Blu-ray that I'm showing the guys. Sorry, you guys can't see it, but the cover of the Blu-ray looks really creepy. July 23rd, it does come out on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital. I will definitely be checking this out because it's right up my alley. I like that kind of psychological stuff. I think it's a perfect segue for Victor Miller because obviously Victor Miller has taken some time out to write this movie in the last couple years from his long legal battles over Friday the 13th, which we've covered ad nauseum on this show, but we kind of want to throw an update out there. It's a minor one, so we won't be doing too much time. The appeal, of course, went in. It's what stopped everything. There is today they have announced, when we're recording this, so Wednesday, they have announced that they are going to a phone mediation, a court-ordered phone mediation in the within the next week. So maybe we'll get done if the mediation goes well. And since it's court-ordered, they have to come to the table. If they can mediate it out, maybe we're done.
I'll tell you what, a hug goes a long way.
I wish you were telling the truth. I don't know what's going on here. Like I said before, I think it's good old fashioned American greed at work. Because I don't know why anybody else wouldn't just be moving forward. We've had this discussion. I'm not going to get back into it again. I think that everybody just needs to come. So hopefully this judge going, hey, listen, I'm tired of this BS. You're going to do a phone mediation and just get to the bottom of it if we can. If not, and the phone mediation doesn't work, I feel like this judge is really patience is wearing thin on one side.
Good.
So we might get a decision either way. So phone mediation better be taken seriously because I think this is going to be the last attempts, especially for the Cunningham Camp Horror Inc. to resolve anything.
Right.
Because I feel like if this judge is court ordering mediation, he feels like they're not being reasonable, and I feel like that's going to hurt them in going forward. So I think that they should really go out there and yeah. Good news this week came out for all you American Horror Story fans. It has been confirmed before, but now is a little more added on. The next installment, the next season, if you will, of American Horror Story will be called 1984, and it will take an 80s slasher style approach to American Horror Story.
I've been waiting for this kind of a season from that show since it began.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've gotten sick of the show. I couldn't even watch it last. I watched 2 episodes and I quit. I don't know what happened. It was getting over the top. The year before, horrible. The show has gone down the toilet. And it's more at this point, they're just trying to get political points across and swear as much as they can. And I want to see a great story. Mm-hmm. I want to see a slasher story. This intrigues me.
I agree. I'm always I've been a fan of American Horror Story. The last 2 seasons have been a little harder. I wasn't a fan of the Covenant series to begin with.
Now, see, I didn't like it to start, but I liked it better as it went, and I thought the ending was great.
And so bringing back the Covenant idea, which they did last year,
yeah, I heard that. I never got that far. So.
Yeah, but no, that's what they did. Basically,
it
was a sequel to Covenant. Yeah. It was a little mixture. I didn't like it as much. The season before, the Roanoke season, the found footage. It started good. Amazing, and then when it went from the backstory into
the reality show,
the show,
it instantly went down the toilet, and then it got worse in the last. I think it was 2 episodes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just that's where I lost it. I loved the first couple. The first third of the season was good.
Yeah, mockumentary style. The
mockumentary style was great, and then once they went into it just got.
It was like by episode 5, it tanked.
And that's sad because like the seasons before, when you had a Hotel was
See, I haven't watched that one. I heard it wasn't very good, so I never gave it a chance.
Oh man, you got to watch it. Go back. Did you like Murder House?
I did like Murder House.
So Hotel will be up your alley. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. And Lady Gaga's phenomenal.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, there's the vampire element to it, but there's another whole element. Oh, it's so good. Just trust me, watch it. It's actually really good. So now with 84, I'm with you. And because we're slasher fans here, as you know, I can't wait to see what they do with the 80s slasher movie. So that'll be cool to see what they do with it.
I'm glad that Evan Peters isn't going to be in it, too. I got sick of him. I kind of hope that they get rid of Sarah Paulson, too, which I think she's going to be back for it. I've got fatigue for both of them. Let's get, you're going to do an anthology series. You got what you could out of them. Let's get a new cast in. Let's try some new people and see what you can do with it. That's how I feel about it. I'm pretty sure she's going to be back for it. I think it probably would have been announced by now if she wasn't. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm digging the idea anyway.
So also announced this week was the next installment of The Purge, the movie series. We already know that we all were fans of the Purge television show, and it's coming back for a second season this upcoming year, but we didn't know when the next installment of the movie series was going to be. We do now. 2020, we will have the next installment of the Purge movie series, and the Blumhouse is teasing it could be the last Purge. I believe it when I see it, gentlemen, but what's your take on that?
If it makes money, there will be another.
Yeah, that's why I said I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
And right now, horror's making good money, so I don't think we're going to be losing The Purge anytime soon. Especially when you have TV. The TV show took off like a son of a bitch.
Yeah, and it was great.
And now we have a season 2 on the way this upcoming year, and that's going to be awesome because I can't wait to see that. But on top of it, yeah, I don't see it ending.
Yeah, the TV series kind of fills in the blanks between the movies and whatnot. At least the first season of it did. But I can see it being quote unquote the last Purge, but it'll come back somehow. Everything gets resurrected in horror. If it makes money, it comes back.
I'm with you on that. Well, we're going to switch over to something that Ron's an expert in, the DC Universe. As we've talked about before, coming in and out, Swamp Thing. It was there, then it wasn't. Now we're back on. We know it's coming out very shortly. We've got a new teaser trailer for Swamp Thing, and they've brought in the love story. So Ron,
and wait, before we get who's the love story, guys? Who is it? What's her name?
We're not going to give you the pleasure. Just say it. Just
go ahead.
you're drooling all over yourself.
It's Crystal Reed.
We know. We're well aware.
We got to get her on the show
because you drool all over as soon as it comes up.
If we can get Alyssa Leonard here from whatever Clown Motel, wow,
Crystal Reed got them all baffled.
Yeah,
wow.
she did. She's got me hot and bothered because that's what Crystal Reed does to me.
He's all blushing
now. Yeah, I'm like sweating a little bit.
I got to apologize to our possible future interview with Alyssa Leonard.
I love Alyssa. She was great
because you were just like, who cares? Like that's not nice.
It was more of the movie. I just couldn't remember the name of it because it's Crystal Reed, the future former Mrs. Mike C. It's gonna happen.
He has that dream every day. But
it's gonna happen.
Let's reel it back in.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step all over your toes here, Ron.
You mean your future ex-wife?
This is Ron's moment to shine here, and you're stepping all over it. Anyways, going back to it, Ron, since you are the expert on the DC universe because you've watched a bunch of the shows, how did you feel about this trailer, and how do you feel about the direction of Swamp Thing?
It's fine. It's everything it's the way that he needed to go with it. Like the questions we all have is what's going to happen at the end with the shortening of the season. But I like the 10-episode seasons. It just gets rid of a lot of the fill. I mean, the love interest is fine. They have her there. That's what you need. I mean, that could also. I mean, they have casted Batman for Titans, do the Swamp Thing crossover in Gotham when she gets taken to court. I'm all about that for season 2.
There you go.
Because she allegedly had relations with a non-human, and she goes to court. If you ever watched that Swamp Thing arc, I forget what issues it's in, but that's one of my favorite arcs where. For whatever reason, she goes to Gotham for a trial, and Swamp Thing just takes over Gotham, and Batman's fighting Swamp Thing, and it just ends on the whole mark of, do you really want to start pissing off other people in this world because Lois Lane is human and Superman's an alien? Do you really want to go down this way?
Right. Now, is there any graphic novels?
Yeah. There's it's in graphic novels.
I'll have to get some names from you.
I'll have to look it up real quick. I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's okay.
But that's one of the best stories.
I'll have to read it at some point. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, because it starts off with the trial and all that stuff, and Swamp Thing just comes through the floors of the courthouse and just starts doing his thing. And he's like, and they're like, well, you can't do this. And then it just cuts to 3 months later, and the trial's still going on, and Gotham's just all overgrown, and you got Batman flying through with this big old Batmobile, cutting down trees and stuff, trying to get, and there's just people all over being like, oh, it's our happy time, because he's just doing the Poison Ivy stuff, making everybody all happy. They're all half naked, dancing around and stuff.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Yeah. It's actually a really good story.
I've been doing that this entire show in the studios.
Jeez. Well, you know what? Let's end this news segment on a fun note. Kind of fun note, I guess, except for if you were the parents and or children here. So there was a report that came out this week from a theater in Canada that was showing Detective Pikachu. Of course, Detective Pikachu opened to a $56 million box office. Yeah. It was number 2, only behind Avengers Endgame on its opening weekend.
Only at 62, almost over.
Yeah, it's almost caught up. So it did well. Detective Pikachu did. If you want to hear more about that, check out the 3 Fat Nerds podcast. We talked about this week a little bit. However, these fans in Canada who went to see it got a little surprised. Well, first we'll start in the trailers. So instead of Detective Pikachu being a family movie, it has family trailers in front of it, presumably. And the trailers in front of this were not family friendly. They were horror trailers, and he didn't go into details about which trailers.
BrightBurn.
I'm assuming BrightBurn was definitely one of them. I would assume. I don't know if he didn't give the date, so I don't know if It Chapter 2 would have been one of them.
Wouldn't have been
But there was quite a different ones. He didn't go into detail. He just said there was at this point there was some kids unsettled, some even crying.
Didn't they show the Child's Play trailer?
I think the Child's Play was one of the trailers. Yeah, you're right.
I read
Child's Play, BrightBurn. There's probably what was the other one?
I don't know, but
Mom,
it's not.
maybe?
Probably mom. But once again, it's not important. The important part is there was kids crying and upset children because they're there to see Detective Pikachu and they're being subjected to some horror movie trailers. But it doesn't just end there. No. This movie theater starts playing the movie, and it plays the opening of Curse of La Llorona instead of Detective Pikachu.
Incidentally, those trailers were all in front of that movie when I went to see it.
So spoiler alert, the beginning, this is a spoiler alert, the beginning of La Llorona starts with the tale of La Llorona, and it's as she drowns her two children in the lake or body of water. So here's a theater full of families and kids watching two children being drowned. And yes,
by their demonic-looking mother.
And as the person who wrote this article said, let the screaming and crying begin. There was a mass exodus. So the theater I've heard tried to make it better to people, but yeah, it's I feel like I would have been that guy.
But this could only have happened in Canada because they probably went, that's probably something else.
Yeah,
I can see it happening in places like maybe Rhode Island too. It's just my guess. It seems like a kind of place where you take your kids to see a horror movie.
How about that? We'll just wait until this trailer's done. It should be able to go again.
Nothing against Rhode Island, by the way. It's very lovely out there.
Oh, jeez. Listen, he's digging himself holes, ladies and gentlemen. But if you have anything to add to this segment or you want to join our conversation here, once again, HorrorZone 607 on Facebook, at HorrorZone 607 on Twitter and Instagram, hashtag HC607 to join our conversation. And we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we are going to give you what we promised. I wish I could be more over the top with it, but it's going to be the Horror Zone 607 talking horror review of Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile. Yeah, see, we got it
mouthful.
Right. We got it right together. So we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Zone. Before the break, Rich mentioned that it is time to talk some horror. And this week, again, he mentioned we were going to give you what we promised last week, and that's we both happened to watch the movie finally that came out. We've been talking about for months.
Happened to? I mean, it's gotten quite a viewership. A lot of people have happened to watch this movie, and at 2 hours long, it's not a happen to moment.
No,
I bowed out after Rich just started talking about it. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, again, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, the Ted Bundy. Do we call it a biopic? I guess.
I guess it's a biopic.
With some liberties.
Well, okay. So let me just dive right in because we agree on something, so we'll just go back and forth. But let me dive.
I think we agreed on most of it.
First thing, it is not a horror movie. And I understand that. I just want to get it out of the way. And it's not. And before we were telling you like you have to separate. And if it's a psychological thriller, it's still horror and stuff like that. And we all need to come together on that. No, this is not a horror movie at all. It's actually a crime drama.
Yeah.
It was billed as not a crime drama, though. It was billed, if you remember it, all the advertisements and everything were, oh, look how outraged people are. They can't believe they did this. Yeah. So going into this movie, and not to mention, Netflix itself says that it's got graphic violence and everything else on the corner thing. It's promising all this shit that's not in the movie.
Yeah, I could have watched this with, like, kids.
You could have put this on, this could have actually, with the exception of one show of dead boobs and some swear words, you could have put this on television.
Yeah.
You could have edited, and you could have gotten rid of the one part, and you could have put this on television.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't go into it. The outrage, I don't get it. Somebody might, if you don't understand why there's outrage about this movie, please.
I understand exactly what it is. It's the age of entitlement. It's all these social media warriors. You guys can, if there's any of you out there listening and you're going to get all bent out of shape because of what I'm saying, go right ahead, say something. But I think that most people would agree. The social media warriors got a hold of this. They had never seen the movie. It hadn't been out yet. They didn't know what they were talking about. It was because they thought that they had Zac Efron, one of Hollywood's big actors, quote unquote, glorifying a mass murderer.
And there's no glorification.
There's no glorification. There's not. It doesn't even really show any violence in the movie for the most part. A couple scenes, but
here's the thing. Until the last 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It's the end of the movie. Once again, spoiler alert. We're doing a review. We're not going to. Once again, there's not much. It's a biopic.
If you know the Ted Bundy story, you know the story.
If you watch the Ted Bundy tapes. First of all, if you watch the Ted Bundy tapes, you saw way worse than the Ted Bundy tapes. I just want to point this out. Secondly, if you know that story, you know this story because it's basically the same story. Okay? And we'll get to one of those problems in a minute with that. Until the end of the movie, the last 5 minutes when we're hitting the resolution is the first time you see any act of violence perpetrated on screen and anything inappropriate, which the boobs in question are black and white so you can barely see them, and it's a headless woman. Yeah. Okay? Secondly, in that same scene, they do a flashback prior to that where he hits this said woman over where he's getting her into his car, so he hits her over the head with a tire iron. That's it. That's the only violence in the whole movie. That's it. And it's in the last 5 minutes. They talk ad nauseum about stuff. They even play the real clips of the television stuff, but there's never a show of bodies. There's never any violence. Now, mind you, I didn't need this movie to be grotesque. I will say that. I did not need it to be grotesque. I did not whatever. But in a movie that's turning into a crime drama, that takes place for the 2-hour movie, an hour of it takes place basically in the court trial.
Yeah.
And to see no real footage or evidence or a recreation of something. So basically you would believe that he might be innocent because you don't see anything. Yeah. They start the movie off hot. They start off out of order because they start off with the stalking of somebody that doesn't even happen until later than what they're portraying.
Right.
And I mean, obviously they start off with him meeting Liz. But after that, they go into something that doesn't happen until later in the timeline, which is fine, whatever. It's a movie. You can do what you want. The problem with it then becomes, it just goes right into him being arrested. And you don't see him get arrested. You just see him then in a holding cell questioning. Yeah. And then you see him in court. And then you see him in another cell. You never see any action point to this. And this is the bad part. When they said they plugged this movie, they said that it was going to be from his longtime girlfriend, Liz's perspective. At least at this point in juncture, it was from her perspective a little bit. I mean, you're seeing him, but it's how it's affecting them in their relationship and their life. And then about 30 minutes of the movie, we go away from that. Except for little clips back and forth to her life where she's, slugging around because he's now on the run or in prison or on trial. And she, the love interest of Haley Joel Osment, his love interest towards her and trying to help her out. And there's those little things, but they're very little compared to just him being in different holding cells, areas, courtrooms. It's basically the Ted Bundy show without anything to link to the crimes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can tell you. It's just a lot of talking.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, it picks right up after he's done most of the killing. I think it's before he escapes to Florida, because that takes place
it's way
in
before.
the movie.
Well, they do it, but that first 30 minutes is such a quick montage.
Yeah,
basically,
they just
it's not
rushed
even a montage. They just rushed
everything,
through this, and it didn't even done montage style. Basically, what they did is they rushed through, so it goes
just
from
a quick
him meeting,
recap about
it goes
the murders.
from him meeting Liz. Yeah, there's a little bit of a snippet in the beginning, but then it goes from him meeting Liz to him stalking somebody that was further down the list anyways, to instantly him being incarcerated in Utah, then transferred to Colorado after he escapes from Utah, then he gets picked up, then he gets transferred to Colorado, and then in Colorado he escapes again, and then that's when he goes to Florida.
Right.
And then, yeah, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. And then it shows a scene that I'm not for 2 scenes in Florida that I don't even think are part of the story. And I would say maybe I'm wrong, but in all the things I know about Ted Bundy, and trust me, like I told you guys before, and this is why I have a fascination with serial killers, because I just don't understand how somebody could do any of this shit. And I'm like looking at this movie, and I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think this happened. First scene is he's in a bar in Florida. It flash forwards to 2 weeks later in Florida. He's at a bar talking to some sorority girls, and then it cuts to the actual real news report of the sorority murders.
Right.
And I'm like, from the story I heard that's not real because it was a crime of opportunity. From what I understand, he was walking down the street basically and saw them and decided, hey, let's just go in and do it. He didn't meet somebody at a bar.
Yeah, I have never heard one way or the other. Nothing I've ever come across that says he saw these girls in a bar, followed them to the sorority house, did this. I don't think that happened, or if it did, I've never come across anything like that. And I've studied it pretty extensively.
And before I go into this, once again, it's a movie. I get it. They can do artistic things. I got it. The second thing is attached to that scene. When he gets pulled over and arrested by the Florida cops, he socks the cop and runs. From what I understand, all he did was give the cop attitude, and they arrested him on the spot.
Yeah.
There was no running after the cop got him. There was no
That's
punching.
Hollywood being Hollywood.
Right, and I get it. You can add to the story. I get it. Drama. Good. Cool. Whatever. But once again, if you're trying to say we're staying to the story, what the hell's the necessity? And it didn't even pay off because he runs from the cop, and then literally the next scene, he's running from the cop. The cop's like, "Stop! I'll shoot!" And then he's running, and then it fades like to black. And when it comes back up, he's calling Liz from a jail cell in Florida.
Right.
So it's not like he even got away.
Yeah.
So what the hell?
It added nothing to it. It was incorrect info. I don't know. I mean, my biggest problems with this movie watching it is, one, it had some serious pacing issues. I didn't like how they rushed right through all of them. I thought it was going to be a biopic about him, and it was...
They rushed through everything except for the court.
Yeah, all of the murders up to that point are done, and he's in, I don't know.
Not to mention the court scenes, mind you, I'm going to say this to be a positive here, the acting was phenomenal. The people who were in the movie and the acting was phenomenal. I really did enjoy their acting. Efron did a great job portraying Ted Bundy. Not being Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
You can't compare it. We're talking about artistic. Going by just acting alone, he did a good job. I enjoyed John Malkovich as the judge completely. Yeah. He was great. Jim Parsons did a good job as the DA.
Right.
Right down the list, including the fact that, like I said, Haley Joel Osment made me pop that he's in this movie. Everybody did a good... I'm saying the acting was very good in this movie.
It was good for what it was.
Right.
My biggest issue with Zac Efron, here's the thing. For what he played in the movie, like for being an actor in a movie, it wasn't that he was bad in the role that he was. It's, again, I have studied Ted Bundy extensively. I know a lot about the case. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of interviews, a lot of clips, a lot of this, a lot of that. And Ted Bundy was this, he was always laughing. He was always very charismatic. You got a guy that when they interviewed him, did you do this, Ted? Oh, did I kill anybody? No, I could never do that. The real Ted Bundy, that's how he acted. In the movie, they asked Zac Efron this. No, I didn't kill anybody. I'm not capable of that. I'm angry. I am going to pout and throw my fists around, and I am angry and dramatic. He didn't play Ted Bundy like Ted Bundy. He played it very dramatically, and he did not... He looked the part. He did not act the part. So it wasn't that he was bad in what he played, in the role that he was.
Artistic value.
Yeah, again, it was Hollywood being Hollywood.
And
that bugged me. That really bothered me. Probably more than anything else in the movie. But once again, that really got to me.
The acting was the best part about this movie, believe it or not.
Yeah, and it wasn't that it was bad. I mean, acting-wise, they did a good job for what they were given. I didn't have too much of an issue with that. It's just the way that he portrayed the character, I guess. It was almost like he had never seen anything about Ted Bundy and didn't know any better.
I'm sure he did, but once again, you also have to remember how much of that is the director.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to... Because I thought he got certain mannerisms down. There's certain times that it was, like, pretty much identical. The scene where he comes out of the elevator was pretty much spot on.
That looked pretty similar. But again, he was very dramatic in that. He didn't... He was laughing.
But he did have a smile on his face, and he did look like a smart ass. And there was... Yes, he had a little more of an angry flair to him, but at the same point in juncture, it was decent enough. Once again, the director might... That's what the director might
They really
want.
over-dramatized it. So.
Well, it's a crime... Like I said, it became a crime drama. It became a crime drama rather than like a psychological crime thriller, if you will. Which that's the story that most people wanted to see, I would assume.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go crime drama style, then stay with what you said and do it from the premise of Liz. And they abandoned that early in the movie, other than coming back very short clips, and then of course at the end.
Right.
At the end, when she finally gets, whatever out of him, which I don't know how real that is, or how how much of that is Hollywood or real, because I don't know that part of the story.
Yeah, that I don't know either.
Whatever. But even if it's real, that's fine. It was a fine scene, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. It just, the movie that I was pumped about this movie because I was a fan. They put out the Ted Bundy tapes on Netflix earlier, and that was a really good docuseries. And I was like, oh man, it was very good.
I'm watching it again right now. Actually,
it's very good. I probably might give it another watch. It was very good. And I'm like, man, they're definitely gonna hit a home run with this movie. And like I said, the acting was great. I liked the actors. I thought they did a good job. I thought the story, for what it was intriguing, but they were just missing stuff. And I just think they were missing big
it was
parts.
A little all over the place.
They rushed through things. Like, if you're going to make a 2-hour movie, then let's pace it better. There's no reason why the last hour of the movie is completely in Florida in a courthouse. Like,
right.
that's not even the most important part of the story, or it's not even the most good parts of the story. Like, you should have done more of the build. You're skipping into his killing spree when he meets Liz, which is fine because you're telling it from her if you're going to do that way. But they didn't. They moved off of it.
They jumped off of it, and I don't know, it became more about Ted, which I think most people would have expected from the movie. But it was advertised as being from her perspective, and it just kind of was.
And also,
it was too all over the place.
When it's from her perspective, then you go, okay, we don't need necessarily the crime scenes and the crimes. Whereas when it's from his perspective, you're like, okay, well, if you're accusing him of something, at least give us a flashback scene or something, so we understand what's going on. Because if you didn't watch the Ted Bundy tapes, if you didn't know anything about it, you wouldn't know any better about what he did or didn't do. They don't even talk about what he did in the crimes. Like, when they're interviewing him, they don't talk. They just said these girls went missing. That's it. Literally, until you get to the Florida one, and then they just basically tell you that they beat, like, because you get the real news article, it's like, oh, 2 were dead, 3 were injured, then another one was dead down the road. And then when they go into court, even they skip past what happened, except for, oh, he came outside and grabbed a stick and then he bludgeoned them. That was it. And he ran out the house.
Yeah, they were very vague with the with the details to the murders. There was hardly anything about them.
And mind you, the movie is called Shockingly Evil, whatever. I can't say the whole name of the damn movie.
Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile.
Thank you. So when you call your movie that, what is the most heinous thing he did, and is killing a 12-year-old girl? It's the most heinous thing that he's accused of doing that we know of. That he's convicted of.
And there's a brief conversation that he has with Liz about that.
And it's at the end of the movie in that conversation, and she just chastises him. You killed a 12-year-old. You killed a little girl. You killed a 12-year-old. What kind of sick bastard are you? I left you with my daughter. Yep. Like, that's the only conversation. They don't talk about it in their courtroom. Like, if you're going to turn the jury and you're going to do a courtroom crime drama at that point in juncture, isn't that how you get your conviction? Yeah. That's how I would get my death penalty. I'd beat the shit out of the fact that he killed a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a lot of flaws. I thought the production value was kind of low for what it was too. To me, it did not. Like, we were, the three of us were talking about this off air before we started recording our show this week, and Ron and I actually, was it you and I think we talked about how it kind of looked like it was something that was more made for like Lifetime. It didn't even feel like it was made for Netflix, let alone a major motion picture in a theater, which is what it was originally supposed to be.
I will say this. I didn't have as much problems with the production because I think that they were trying to go for old looking kind of like. It
wasn't so much that.
I don't think they were trying to look for the clean look. It was shot very darkly, very base colors.
It wasn't so much that. I don't have a problem with that. It was something about it.
I'm just saying I don't have a problem with the production. I thought the production was fine in my estimate. Mm-hmm. The production I thought was fine. I mean, it wasn't the greatest production, but I think that they were trying for something. I did look at it as more indie. It kind of had more of an indie feel to it.
Definitely was indie.
I'd like to get Derek from the Three Fat Nerds podcast to do the review on it instead of us, like an official review. Because now that I've seen it, I can tell him he can watch it because he won't be scared at all. Because this is right up his indie art house kind of like movie selection. Because that's really what all it is: crime drama, indie crime drama, kind of artsy, kind of. It's just not what I expected, especially from the story. And especially because you were teasing it. Netflix, go back, was teasing it as a companion piece to the Ted Bundy tapes.
To the Ted Bundy tapes, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would have preferred if they did it right. have it be, what I would have done if I was directing this movie, if I was in charge of it, it would have been Ted committing these murders and then going home to Liz. And the interaction that he has after he does these things. The interaction he has when he moves away from her and goes to another state. I wanted to see him, in action doing these things, and then the way that he was in his real life afterwards, because you don't hear about that stuff because nobody really knows.
That's the story, though. That would be the story that would pay off, especially when we're going from her view. Like she might have not known this was happening, but he was doing this. He killed 2 girls at a park and then went home to her. That happened in real life. So I would have liked to see, even if you didn't show they talk about the girls missing.
Well, yeah,
and that his picture looked awful like the same, and that you find out later she's the one that calls the cops, which we know from the docu-series.
Right.
Anyways, but you look at that and just alone, and you go, "That's the dynamic we should see." You don't have to go graphic. I didn't even care about graphic. You didn't have to show him killing the girls. You could have just shown him there and them disappearing with them.
Like to have seen the interaction with them.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. The interaction, getting him in the car, maybe the evil look. I don't even care if he would have gone all in. But then I want to see him come home to her and the interaction there. Yeah. And from what she remembered. Because she remembered good times, and they did show that. So I would have liked to see that scene where they're, in the living room playing music, drinking wine. That should have been the scene after him doing that. So that way, 100%. In your mind, you go, wow, how evil is this son of a bitch that literally he just got done murdering 2 girls, kidnapping and murdering 2 girls, and probably assaulting them. And now he's home with his girlfriend, drinking wine, having music, laughing, joking about what they're going to do in the future. The girlfriend doesn't know any of this, but he does. He just did it. That's what I want to see. Him going to another state, killing somebody, getting arrested, and when he's there, then his interactions on the phone with her. We got to see a little bit of it, but I want to see the full ones.
Right.
Like, I want to see, really what happened in between. That would be the story.
Yeah.
I don't care what happened in the courtroom. We know what happens. It's spoiler alert, because he's been dead now for 30 years? Yeah, 30
1989.
years. No, I think he was
89.
89, yeah. So he's been dead for a long time. Let's just throw it that way. So, spoiler alert, he gets convicted and put to death in Florida. That's not even a spoiler, especially if you saw the Ted Bundy tapes. So I don't care what happens in that damn courtroom. Yeah. I know what happens in the courtroom. I've seen it. A bunch of times.
To me, you're going to go with a name. The name, for those that don't know, the judge that was played by John Malkovich in the movie, the judge actually says those words when he convicts him in Florida.
Yes.
So that's where they get the extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile name, because that's what he specifically says that to Ted Bundy. So you're going to go with that kind of a name for the movie, whether that's the words that were spoken or not. It's a strong name. It's a lie. It's a mouthful. It's a strong name. There was nothing extremely wicked that happened this movie. There was nothing shockingly evil that happened this movie, and I certainly didn't feel like anything vile happened in this movie. So you're going to go with this big title. None of that stuff happened. You got great actors that were in this movie. Lily Collins, let's face it. For anybody that doesn't know who she is, she's Phil Collins' daughter, and she's a great actress.
Oh, she does amazing.
She's really good. There's a movie also on Netflix. I believe it's called To the Bone. It's about her having an eating disorder. It's fantastic.
She's phenomenal.
She is really good.
Movie. She really is.
She's really good. So
like
you
got I
John
dug
Malkovich,
the actors, and they dug deep, and I can't remember Jim Parsons. I can't remember his name, but he was the guy who was in charge of Emerald City on Oz. He was the detective from Colorado.
Okay.
He's gotten. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's gotten a little older and put a little bit of weight on.
James Hetfield was in the movie.
James
at one point.
Hetfield's in the movie. Yeah,
from Metallica.
Man.
You had a great cast, and they acted great, but there was just somewhere in this movie there was a dropped ball big time.
Right, because they didn't tell the story I think that they should have told. And like I said, you didn't have to
missed opportunity.
You didn't have to glorify the violence, but you're kind of promised that they're going. And then on top of that, the outrage from other things, from people who saw, why are you outraged? If anything,
because they didn't see it and they got big mouths.
If anything, this didn't glorify him at all. You're just more confused, and you got to know these stories so it doesn't happen again. I think the best thing that ever came out of the Ted Bundy tapes docu-series was when the girl that survived the attack, at the very end in the last episode, they ask her why. She tells the story and why she's all right with this, including people thinking about whatever. She goes, because I don't want to see it ever happen again to anybody else, because everybody puts the face on a killer, as you can tell, because they're a nut job and they don't look right or whatever. He was a very attractive and smart man, and he killed a lot of people because of such. And when she said that, I was like, That's what you need. That's why you need to make these things.
Right.
I feel like you're better served watching the Ted Bundy tapes docuseries to learn about the evil that this guy really did to avoid ever having it happen again.
See the warning signs, from other people that may be out there doing this too. So
and to ever watch this movie, because in this movie it doesn't glorify him at all. It doesn't do anything. Yeah. You don't even see him as a criminal because they don't show you a crime.
Yeah.
They don't even talk about the crimes in any depth that you'd be like, oh man, he did something wrong. You just see him in court. And when he's saying he's innocent and he's being railroaded because you have no knowledge, if you didn't know the Ted Bundy story, you'd be like, man, this is horrible what they're doing to this guy. Like, I'm being serious. You almost feel bad for him because they portray it in a light that he didn't even that there was nothing going on.
Right.
That's why you have to at least talk about the crimes and show something. You don't have to go vile. You don't have to go all bloody and gory and give us a blood and guts. But
I wouldn't have wanted to see that.
You have to put him like you have to have like the scene where he's at the sorority thing. Instead of being at the bar, you should have had him walking by the sorority house, stopping, seeing somebody walk by the window, walking around, pick up the stick, walk towards the house, and you don't have to show anything
and then
else.
Just go to another scene.
And then go to that news clip even.
Yeah.
But that puts in your head that, man, that motherfucker was there. Sorry, I dropped the F-bomb.
You're
it doesn't
fine.
matter. And he did it. And he did it. But you don't even do that.
Yeah.
That's all I want to see. I don't care. Like, I want to know that he did the crime. Give the audience. This is the problem that I had with Batman versus Superman. If you attended a movie that the audience needs to pick up on everything on their own and you're not leading them to it, then you've done a bad job as a filmmaker, as a content creator. Because if you can't tell that story, because you have to pretend that not everybody knows the story, because not everybody does.
Right.
Most of the people who watch this movie do know the Ted Bundy story. So, yeah, they're going to
say the same. If you're watching it, I would assume you know something about it. They're going to say the same. Well,
yeah. Yeah, but you're going to say the same thing that somebody could criticize us right now talking about it. You're going to be like, well, you guys knew about it, so it doesn't matter. Well, no, here's the problem. I want to talk about the people who didn't, because it got a lot of good reviews. So, therefore, people who probably have no idea who Ted Bundy is, millennials and such, who had no idea. It might have not watched the Ted Bundy tapes. Mm-hmm. Had no idea who he is. Because like you point out, 30 years ago, he was put to death. It's not like he's part of the lexicon that we talk about every day. So here we are now, and they don't know anything about him. If you were watching that movie and didn't know, you might be like, wow, they're railroading an innocent guy, especially with the way the media portrays things happening in society now.
Right.
Like, you were like, wow, this guy really did get railroaded, because they've never put you in the position where you saw him do anything or evidence that proved that was right. And that's my whole biggest gripe with this movie. Should you watch the movie? If you know stuff about Ted Bundy, go ahead, give it a watch. The acting's great. You'll enjoy that part. If you like crime dramas, you'll like it. You won't think it was the top 10 ever. You won't think it's like the top 10 ever, but you'll still like it. If I was going to point you in a direction of a crime drama that actually pays off, I'd say just watch season 1 of Mindhunter, because season 2 is coming out this summer.
Maybe Forrest Gump.
And by the way, Mindhunter season 2 is going to include Ted Bundy. So there you go. It's also going to include Charles Manson and a bunch of other.
Hopefully they execute it better.
So. Oh, they will, because that's what they've done on the show. Because they actually show you the kill. They actually don't go too grotesque on the violence, but they at least show you that the guy is guilty.
Right.
He's guilty when they're interviewing him. So therefore, there's no up in the air about, hey, maybe he is getting railroaded.
Right.
And there's real life stories from the birth of the crime unit.
Right.
The behavioral unit, in the FBI.
So what would you score this movie if you were giving it a score?
If I was giving this movie a score, man, I'm going to actually give it a 5. And the only reason I'm going to give it a little higher is because the acting was good. The acting was good. I did enjoy the actors. I would say, and by the way, I'm not saying I'm giving it a point for it. I'm giving it like 2 or 3 points, because I honestly, for the movie content alone, it's probably like a 3. I really, honestly, it's probably like a 3, and that's being generous. I would give it a 5 only because I thought the acting was great. And I really did enjoy the actors and their portrayals, and they did a good job, and I don't want to take anything away from them, because I don't think this was their problem. I think even the mistakes in the acting from Efron wasn't him, it was probably in the direction. And
you're probably right. I don't know if, to me, I'm thinking he's playing the role he should have known better, but you're right. It's probably the director saying, okay, we want you to be dramatic.
Yeah,
so
probably.
You're probably right about that. So I take that back.
I think everybody was very good. Like you said, Lily Collins, phenomenal job. John Malkovich as the judge, and then they showed some of the clips at the end of like the real judge stuff. Perfect.
Yeah,
Could
it was
have been
good
perfect.
casting for him.
Jim Parsons very good because he kind of has a similar accent to the actual DA.
Right.
Everybody was good at their roles. I enjoyed it immensely. I did like what they did with the Liz character when she was there because you did feel bad for her.
Oh yeah,
because like
heartbreaking.
you were like, man, she was so in love with this person, and even when she's still fighting. Like the fact that she loves him, it's just like, man, he had you so convinced that he was innocent that you love this person still, even though he's the
she's dating somebody else.
Yeah, and he's the most horrible human being on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, man, and so you feel for her, and she does a great job of emoting that. That's why I wish I would have saw more of that.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
I think that was where the win is, instead of being an hour of the movie pretty much in the courtroom,
right?
That we've already seen. And if you want to see it, just go ahead and watch the Ted Bundy tapes because they show all those scenes in the courtroom on the show, and it's the real clips because there was
video
video
cameras
on
YouTube too, because it was the first murder trial like that
they put on cameras.
Yeah. So. You could probably go on YouTube and find these clips, if you really want to see what happened in the courtroom.
So, movie alone, I say a 3. With the acting, giving it the acting, it's worth watching. I'll give it a 5. That's why I'll give it a 5. It's worth watching. That's for fair. The acting, and I do believe that some of the cast should get nominated for at least some best supporting stuff. Lily Collins should definitely get like a best supporting actress because I think she did a very nice job in this movie. Efron, I don't see the Oscar hype. I don't.
No,
I mean, he
not
did.
at all.
I said he did a good job because he did do a good job, but I don't see the Oscar hype.
Too young still.
I'm just saying I don't see the Oscar hype.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? In the future, I will give him this. He did a good enough job that I can see him getting more serious roles and him slaying it in the future. And he'll probably be a future Oscar winner because he's a great actor.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It was refreshing seeing him in a dramatic role instead of one of these goofy comedies, buddy comedy or something.
Still Leonardo DiCaprio problem. Too young.
Yeah. But on top of that, this movie wasn't the one either.
No. But it's that whole thing with him, it was always trying to chase all the reward because they kept saying he's going to get better and better and better. And we'll get to because he's young, he's going to have more and more movies.
Yeah,
you don't want to.
I'm with Rich though. This wasn't the one for him. Maybe I don't know if they'll be up for Academy Awards for this one. Maybe Golden Globes, but I don't think that he deserves it. Just Lily Collins, yes.
Best supporting actress.
Best supporting actress. I can see that. Although they might consider her best actress because she really was the other lead in the movie. She was great. Job, and I'm pretty much with you on the scoring. I would have probably a 4 out of 10. Maybe I would bump it up to a 5. As we were sitting here talking about it, I was thinking about what would I score. It's either a 4 or a 5 out of 10. And again, like you said, the reason I would go so high is because of the acting in the film, especially Lily Collins.
Put it this way: if you have extra time and you're not sacrificing time and you haven't already seen it, I feel like then that's a good time to watch it. If you have extra time and you're like, hey, I got to put something on in the background even because technically you could walk away. I was doing laundry while I did watch some of this movie.
It's a good laundry movie.
I was putting it off. I mean, I paused it when I left the room, but I mean,
you can
I was
leave
folding
it running.
clothes. Seriously, I was folding because I wanted to say, obviously we have to review it.
Yeah.
So when I was folding clothes, I was still watching it because there's not a lot that happens. I mean, as long as you can hear it, you get what's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. It's just if you are very much somebody that is, I don't want to say an enthusiast for the serial killers, but you know what I mean.
No, I got you.
There's
people who are fans of that.
Yeah.
That's why John Wayne Gacy art sells so high.
Exactly. But if it's something that you're fascinated by the Ted Bundy character and this and that, check it out. It's worth at least giving it a look so you can say you've watched it. I have a feeling that if you're like us at all, you'd be disappointed with what the execution was for the movie.
I mean, I've offered it all so long, but let's offer one last time. If you have a different take on the movie, go ahead, let us know. We're also, if everybody has different opinions, the world flows on different things. You might have liked it more, you might have hated it more, we might have missed something. I'm always game to find new things out, and the best way to do that, and also the best way to support us, go on Facebook. Horror Zone 607. If you don't already like and follow the page, what are you waiting for? Like and share our page, man.
Get it out there.
Come on, get it out there. Help us out. If you're already listening to this, that's the easy part. That's the only thing we really want you to do. Like and share. Also, if you're on Twitter or on Instagram at Horror Zone 607, hey, once again, if you're listening to us, that's all we ask. We'll give you this show for free. We kind of want you to support us and help us grow, and also use the hashtag HC607 whenever discussing this show. Also, for all of your 8122 Productions needs, it's easy. 8122productions.com, and you can stream our shows. You can download our shows from there. You can get content from our other stuff, 3 Fat Nerds and 3 Fat Nerds on Wrestling, respectively. There's reviews and stuff on there from everything else. There's some new stuff coming up very very soon. We're very excited to talk about it, but unfortunately can't talk too much about it until it's actually in motion. But trust me, in the next couple of weeks, you will hear about it. From there, like I said, Mike told you about some exciting stuff in the beginning of the show. So keep your eyes posted on all of our social medias, on this podcast, and on 8122productions.com.
And before I say goodbye to you guys this week, the one last thing, this is going to be a little bit of a teaser for next week's show. I am lucky enough for the second time in the last 13 months. This weekend, there's actually going to be a tour of Camp Nobi Bosco in New Jersey, just outside of Blairstown, New Jersey, which is the camp where they filmed the original Friday the 13th. If you are fascinated with horror movie locations, this one's the holy grail because it's a real Boy Scout camp. You're not allowed there unless you get a ticket to the tour. I was lucky enough to go there last April. I won the last available ticket for this year's tour on eBay.
He got his golden ticket.
Shouldn't say I won it, but because I had to pay through the roof for it. But I'll be taking my second tour of Camp Nobi Bosco, a.k.a. Camp Crystal Lake, this Friday. So next week, I'll be talking about it on the show, on our Facebook page, and probably on Twitter. I'll be posting pictures from the camp that I take. I know Adrian King is going to be there. This past October, the last time they did it, a friend of mine went, and they actually also had the character that played Annie in the movie, the girl that gets killed trying to get hitchhike there. She was there, as well as Officer Dorff. So I don't know if there's going to be other. They weren't advertised for that one, so there's no advertisement for them being there this time. Maybe they're going to be there. But Adrian King is going to be there again, so I'm going to get a chance to meet her and talk to her again. I'll tell you guys all about my trip there next week when we come back. So very excited for that. I'm going to walk around Blairstown again, too, and take some more pictures and videos where they filmed the opening scenes of the movie, too. So very excited and can't wait to share it with you guys. But that is our show for this week. So we will be back next week with some more Horror Zone 607, and we will see you guys then. Have a good week.